Had the new parts come through from the factory? We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career, episode number 157 today for the British Grand Prix in Season 8. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But a very good episode last time out for us in terms of the championship. Made a good step forward at breaking into that kind of mega lead that Fernando, Alonso, our championship rival, had. And we basically need to try and do the same again at the home Grand Prix. You can see we've closed up a little bit more to Renault with that final kind of upgrade. So technically, we have actually maxed out the car this race, but not fully because the reliability is still there on the R&D tree. But pretty much that's going to be the maximum we can get on the performance chart of there. So you can see it's not actually too big of a gap between ourselves and Renault there, so that's not too much of a worry. It just really might be late on in the season where Red Bull come in as a bit of a spanner in the works perhaps. But obviously for now our eyes are all focused on Fernando Alonso because he's been the most consistent man and the man who's won the most races so far this season. That leads the way by some way. But obviously we're going to have another episode like last time where, you know, we're in first place and Alonso's, you know, minimum down in P4 or 5 then. That'll be very, very good for us, but I'm not taking anything for granted, and the British Grand Prix has generally been a more difficult one for myself compared to the AI, especially in qualifying. The car always feels very, very odd stepping out in qualifying on low fuel around it, so we'll see how it goes. Had a bit of traffic on our first line lap in Sector 3, so that wasn't ideal, so it's not going to be the fastest time ever at the moment. Hamilton is on provisional pole, so that's at least good for us. That once again, it seems like Hamilton is the Renault that's the most comfortable right now in the last couple of episodes in this midway stage of the season. But we go on then to start our second flying lap, and we need to find about 1.2 seconds to actually get towards the front row where Leclerc, I believe, is now provisional pole position. So the car once again has the speed to be right up there, and so it's just up to us to really find that time. So we go through to the last sector there through Magnus Beckett's flying through, already got a lot of time on the board on the top right there, but finding those last few tenths, and we're looking pretty good to maybe even go pole ourselves. So this could be very, very close between myself and my teammate. It could be a very good day in the office for the Alfa Romeo Racing team. Obviously the car has improved to no end in this season so far, gone from strength to strength, and so here this could be a very good home qualifying for us as we go through the last few corners there, praying we don't lose too much time. Went a little bit wide on the last corner, but across the line it will be provisional pole at the British Grand Prix here on Saturday, and it will end up being a pole position then in the end with Leclerc in second place. A front row lockout for the Alfa Romeo Racing team. Absolutely amazing stuff. Carlos Sainz does really well. He's been struggling quite a lot in this season in the Red Bull Honda alongside Gasly, so he is the more senior Red Bull there in third place. Fernando Alonso though, P4, so he hasn't this time, unlike Austria, hasn't had too much of a disaster, and he's still there on the second row, so he definitely can do something in the race. But it's up to us then, I guess, as a team from the front row to try and see this through, and hopefully, fingers crossed, myself and Leclerc don't, you know, trip over one another in the race and get fighting too much, because I want to make sure both of us can be right up there for the sake of the Constructors' Championship as well, as we try and clamber after Renault in that standings there. But obviously for me, first and foremost, I will be concentrating on myself as an individual driver. I need to get as many points as I can on Alonso for the championship. Let's go to the grid then. A great day in the office on Saturday. Let's see if we can try and match it on Sunday. Let's go to the grid.
The pain of parting is nothing to the joy of meeting again. And how joyous indeed it is to be back at Silverstone once more for the British Grand Prix. The queues to get in this morning extended miles back down the A43, such is the enthusiasm for Formula One in this country. With good opportunities to overtake at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights, there's a lot of potential for close action around the 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit. With 18 corners and average lap speeds of around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the longest and quickest circuits on the calendar. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about Mercedes. They've had one retirement in the last 5 races. What do you think that says about the reliability of their car?
It's a good statistic for sure, as it demonstrates not only mechanical reliability, but consistency from both drivers as well.
And with that, let's look at the starting grid then ahead. The British Grand Prix for Season 8 of my F1 2018 career. And on pole position then is myself, and alongside me is my teammate Charles Leclerc to form that front row lockout for Alfa Romeo Racing. Third place is Carlos Sainz, and fourth place my championship rival Fernando Alonso. Fifth is then Verstappen with Hamilton alongside, Hülkenberg and Gasly next with Sergei Sorokin and Sebastian Vettel rounding out the top 10. Ocon then P11 with Van Dorn then. It's then all very Noah's Ark as you've got the 2 McLarens on the same row, as well as the Haas and the Force India cars, and then the Williams to round out the grid for this British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Right, so here we are on pole position. Not too much of a common occurrence if you're familiar with my channel and career mode. I don't usually get pole positions. I'm not much of a qualifier, and I'd like to think of myself as a bit more of a Fernando Alonso style character when it comes to career mode races, doing the business on Sunday rather than Saturday. But here we are then, we have good opportunity to make the most of it in the championship, especially with my teammate alongside me as well, of Leclerc. We have a really good chance of having a buffer there for Alonso if Alonso does have a good start, gets up to 3rd. But the strategy will be quite calm. Obviously, it's a one-stop for pretty much the entire time we've done career mode from Season 1 to Season 8. The softs are onto the mediums there, so pretty simple job, but still need to do the job. We've done half of it on Saturday, so time to finish it off on Sunday. Here we go then to 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix, my home race here. Can it be a good one today? 5 lights are out, and we're underway. It's a bit of a slow, shaky start there in first gear, but we get away then up the gears in first place in turn 1. Leclerc still second place, so that's very good to see, as it sometimes can be a bit of a gaggle of cars there in the first sector. Looks like they are actually swapping left, right and centre. Leclerc and Sainz behind me. There's their 2 jostle position. So Leclerc initially was in second place into turn 1, but then the exit, Sainz got a good getaway and he's now battling him and might even be up right there into second place. So we ride on board down towards the end of sector 1 and still first place. So that's at least good for us then, but a little bit wide and deep, and Sainz is right up our gearbox with the proximity arrow, so have to watch out for that and try and get away from him, try and break that DRS toe. But the last sector, the AI are very good, especially in the traction zones of the last few corners. So have to watch out for it as we go towards Stowe then, and we go down the hill towards that chicane, and this is where the AI are very, very good, so have to watch out for that. But for now, we still lead the way. Leclerc 3rd place. Can't quite do anything right now on Carlos Sainz, unfortunately. As he now go through the last corner, a little bit sheepish through that chicane, and a little bit of the riding the bump on the last corner. And so Sainz is right up my chuff. We're going to have to go a little bit wide on purpose to give him some room, and he's on the right-hand side, but we're going to cut across and defend from it successfully. Yellow flags, though, and there's been some carbon fibre flaying. Oh, there's a massive crash behind us as we look behind. A lot of cars off there, and the safety car's being called out. I think Leclerc got caught up in it then. I saw quite a few cars, at least 4 cars there, as I looked briefly behind, but for a split second there, we're off on the village corner, and so the full safety car's out, and on the top left you can see there's only 15 runners left in this Grand Prix, so a 5-car collision then at the British Grand Prix on the early stages, lap 2 only there, and it's going to be Leclerc that is unfortunately out of this Grand Prix, but also that is huge. Fernando Alonso is also out, so that's unfortunate. My teammate's out, but Fernando Alonso, my championship rival, he's out of this Grand Prix, and it's all because of this. Looking at a replay then, myself and Sainz side by side, and Sainz was the one that went a little bit wayward there and slowed up and smashed Leclerc's front right tyre and caused him to go off. And then I think there was a kind of a domino effect ricocheting around. But here's on board then with Carlos Sainz on the outside of turn 2. And he just slows right down there. Didn't need to. He kind of got flustered by getting squeezed out by myself. And then he smashed the front right of Leclerc. A little bit unintentionally maybe, because obviously you might not have seen him in the mirrors there. And there's maybe a bit of a fast slow up there. And oh... just momentum, really, actually. I can't really put the blame on Sainz for that, because really Leclerc was just coming so quickly, couldn't avoid it, and then Leclerc gets tapped twice there, so that's why I think there was a bit of a pile-up. But this is our championship rival, Fernando Alonso, then in 4th place, doing quite well here, but obviously you're about to see the tyre sods off, and then, oh, that's very unfortunate for Fernando Alonso, but very fortunate for myself. But he is out of this Grand Prix, and he has to sit there as he watched Leclerc get punted in front of him there. And so those two, that's how they go out of the Grand Prix. Then we've got Verstappen in the Mercedes car, carbon fibre flying sparks going, and it's another right front for Verstappen there out this Grand Prix. Parks up in the apex. That's quite dangerous, so that's maybe why the safety car was called out there. And his teammate Hülkenberg, again the same, identical. Actually, that's 4 front right tyres off there. That's a little bit of poor coding maybe from the game of having 4 front right tyres. And actually, look at this, Hamilton there doing some great Mission Impossible dodging there, and actually comes through with only a little bit of front wing damage in 3rd place there, so fair play to him. And this is Gasly behind Hamilton then. He's going to also dodge these cars, I think, as you got the 2 speeding off on the left and right. Gasly actually stops a little bit there and forms a bit of a train, and actually we look back on board with Grosjean, there's a massive train about to be formed between, Grosjean's out as well. You got the 2 McLarens, the Ferrari Toro Rosso and the other car, all forming a massive train, and from this angle you can see how much carnage is there. Look at that, big pile up there at Silverstone. That's the other Haas spewing into the back of my teammate there, so a lot of people out of the Grand Prix. And by the time we go to lap 3 and catch up to the safety car, there's actually another car out this race. So there's actually a total of 6 cars out of the British Grand Prix then. Absolute carnage here at Silverstone. But now we moved on to lap 4. We're on the restart of the safety car then. We're actually got a little bit away from Carlos Sainz as he's not really right up our gearbox, which is weird to say because usually the AI are very good on the restart here compared to the player on this game when it comes to the safety car and the tyre attempts kind of getting in on the green flag. So there we go through the last corner onto the next lap, lap 5, and we are nowhere near Carlos Sainz, and instead the fighting might be going on between the other Red Bull and the Renault of Hamilton then. So Gasly, that is up into P4, so he's gained quite a lot there from the crashing because he was down to I think he was in P7 before the crashes, so now Gasly's up in P4. But yeah, so it's a Red Bull Honda sandwich then for Hamilton, obviously the only one flying the flag for Renault then, so we'll see how he gets on. But there was some damage for Hamilton on his front wing, and also I think there was a bit of damage for Carlos Sainz surely when he tapped Leclerc, so there might be a bit of understeer for these guys, and they might come in for an early, quite early unscheduled pit stop maybe to change the front wing. And also we look on here through the grid, and that is Kimi Räikkönen we're focusing on then, the Williams car. He's actually way up into what is I think P7 there, ironically for his number 7 in the Williams car. Remember, Williams are the worst car on the grid, so Räikkönen doing a fantastic job in his new outfit here this season to be right up there behind his former teammate Vettel in some points paying positions for now for the Williams team. So that's absolutely mega. But as we go on then through the rest of the first stint then, Gasly attacking Hamilton then down the inside of the chicane and the last corner there. He gets that move done. He's up into P3. Unsurprisingly though, because he's got no damage on his front wing and Hamilton does. And very unsurprisingly as well, he gets on the back of Carlos Sainz and his teammate on the very same lap then down the inside. The old turn 1 cops, and there he goes. He's up into P2 then. So the reigning world champion and my former championship rival from last season is up into P2, and now Sainz and Hamilton, it's the battle of the broken front wings as both of them have a bit of damage to the cascade elements of the front wing there. So Hamilton on the outside, Sainz does well to jockey for position then, and to a nice camera angle as those two are still neck and neck, but Hamilton just gets it up into P3, and look at that, Sorokin, the Russian, the Toro Rosso, might just come through and waltz past both of them, but no, Sainz goes for the late lunge to the inside of turn 1, mega move there for the Spaniard on Hamilton there for the very late move. Didn't think that was going to happen there. I was ready for Sorokin to make a move because that Toro Rosso car I don't think has any damage on his front wing, so I was expecting him to have something good. But now we move on to lap number 10 onto on board with us. All is calm in our world at the moment because we've got a few seconds on Gasly at the moment in second place, but our DRS then has another failure. So 2 races in a row our DRS has failed. Thankfully the flap is not open, of course, in this middle part of the lap there. But again, just 2 in a row, that's not really a failure you want to keep on happening, because at some point you think it's going to be unlucky for us and it's going to fail whilst the DRS flap is open, and that'll be a disaster. So we're going to have to hope and pray that kind of fixes itself maybe, and it doesn't happen again in future episodes. But we now move on to lap 11. We're going to come in for our pit stop. Gasly already came in on that previous lap, lap 10. And so I think there's like 2 or 3 seconds between us, so he's keeping us pretty okay honest. You know, once he overtook Sainz, he did speed up a bit and close the gap that was there from me to Carlos Sainz initially at the restart of the safety car. So fair play to Gasly for getting the hammer down, but I think I had it in control in that first stint, and now it's all about controlling the second stint now on medium tyres. Gasly has a bit of an undercut, but I don't think it's been that bad for us because the pace was pretty good on that in-lap on soft tyres. So pretty empty pit lane then. A few cars now just about coming in at the end of that, but of course for us, no front wing to change or anything like that. Obviously Hamilton and Sainz will lose some time with front wing changes, so they might even fall back into the traffic that was there between the Ferrari car, the Toro Rosso, and actually even the Williams if Räikkönen is still up there. But we come out then in P5 ahead of Gasly still, so no dramas there. On the minimap, all those cars ahead of us will be coming in eventually. So as we move on then through this Grand Prix, it's still going to be myself in first place, Gasly second, Carlos Sainz in third place. Fourth place is not Hamilton, but it's going to be Van Dorn, then the Force India car, then Räikkönen, who's way up there, and he's ahead of Hamilton there. So Räikkönen in the worst car on the grid, in the Williams car, is ahead of Hamilton for now. So that's very good stuff there for the Iceman, and let's see if we can do anything to hold it through. I doubt it though, because that Renault car is going to be very, very quick. Hamilton with DRS on the left-hand side. They both spark away. Raikkonen tries his best to defend that position, but Hamilton will be round the outside for what will be, that's going to be P4, 5, 6, I think that is P6. So Raikkonen now is in a very convenient P7 in the number 7 Williams car as Hamilton jogs on down the inside of the Force India to be up into P5, that is, with the Toro Rossos still P4 and the 2 Red Bulls in P3 and P2 respectively, with myself still doing the job in P1 and getting away from Gasly a little bit as we are going to go on to lap 17 to set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. So got some good pace in the medium tyres here, and this is something I've not had pretty much for a long time now in this career mode. The last season and a half has been some real struggles in the Sauber team last year, the Alfa Romeo racing team so far this year. But yeah, so it's been a long while since I've been able to control a Grand Prix like this and really feel like I'm in a top team and in a top car really, and do a bit of a Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton from the modern era or the previous V8 era of just controlling the Grand Prix, you know, pushing when I need to, feel like I need to push, saving the tyres when I need to, and just kind of soaking in the atmosphere and enjoying leading the home Grand Prix in front of the home fans at Silverstone. So here we come now through the last few corners to win another win on the trot here. We won last episode and we win the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
A great win then for the Sauber team today. So, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
A reliable car, that was the most important factor here. This was a real battle of attrition, and you could tell those at the front were trying to find a balance between running their outright pace and taking care of the car to reach the end.
So it's a win for us in the DNF for Fernando Alonso. The F1 gods have struck down upon him finally in this season, and so that means in a blink of an eye we're in the lead of the Drivers' Championship. That is just so crazy, because for so many episodes now, last 6 or 5, where the gap has been about 34 points, has been bouncing around from like 21 to 34 points, I really didn't think we're ever going to chisel away this lead. But then lo and behold, that massive 5-car crash has just come down like a barrel of rocks for Fernando Alonso, and for us winning the Grand Prix like that in some style, controlling that race, absolutely mega to be in the race lead. But we, next episode will be about the halfway point basically, because with 21 rounds, it's a bit awkward to call the halfway point in the season, but pretty much halfway is the next episode, and so near enough the season almost gets reset, because I'm only a few points now ahead of Alonso, so we're pretty much nearly level on points, so it almost resets and we go again for the second half now, for a second half duel between myself and Fernando Alonso, and you can bet that he's going to come back swinging, because he's had a lot of pace this season. The only reason that I've now got the lead is because of that unfortunate DNF for him, but of course that could easily happen to us eventually, so we have to keep our fingers crossed and also keep our eyes peeled and don't take anything for granted. I'm not definitely going to, as we move on to the end of the episode then. Very happy with that.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. It doesn't get much better than a win at this track, does it?
Obviously, like I said, it doesn't get much better than doing it in front of the home fans, so I'm going to go with the Hamilton route and say these are the best fans, but obviously couldn't do it without my team there giving me a mega car in that race to control that race.
You've taken the lead in the championship. Are you going to be able to keep up that momentum?
And like I always say, it's great to take the championship lead, but we have so long to go, so we have to, not rest on our laurels and keep our, wits about us, really.
Appreciate your time.
But that has been an absolutely mega episode then at the British Grand Prix, guys. Absolute carnage in action at the start, and then for us personally, for the race result, couldn't get any better, really, honestly. Really not any better, apart from maybe Leclerc getting second place and getting a 1-2 for the team. Perhaps that's the only way it could have possibly got better at that Grand Prix. So, guys, if you did enjoy the episode, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, you can subscribe for weekly full-on content. It's game on between myself and Fernando Alonso for the second half of the season. Till next time, guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.